What's going on, guys? It's your boy Distant Coder, and this past week I played in a 65-man tournament where first place won an ultimate rare Crystron Halka Fibrax. Now, unfortunately, I didn't get first. I got second. I went 5-0 and then lost in the last round against Prank Kids. It is what it is, but I did want to showcase you the Code Talker deck that I played for this event. Now, the reason why I decided to play Code Talker is that I've been playing the deck quite a lot recently, and it's a very fun combo deck to play that can achieve a lot of cool things. So I am going to show you guys the deck profile, and afterwards I am going to do a combo video if and only if this video reaches 1,000 likes. So hit that like button, don't forget to comment and subscribe, and let's get right into the deck profile. So to start things off, we're playing 3 copies of a microcoder. So the Code Talker archetype has these main deck monsters that can link summon from hand when you make a Code Talker. So the 3 that you have are the 3 microcoder, the 2 code generator, and the 1 code radiator. These can all be used to link summon from the hand if you are making a Code Talker monster. Now, the code radiator isn't all that good. I only played this because I didn't own a Scripton. If I owned Scripton, I would be playing Scripton over this, but because I didn't have it, I ended up playing this for the tournament. It was like okay, it's like a pseudo extender. There are better extenders that you can play, such as Scripton, but code radiator is decent. Code generator, if you use it for the link summon of a Code Talker, you can foolish or add a 1200 or less attack Cyberse, which is really good. And microcoder really is your bread and butter because this gets you to the best card in your deck. So we'll get into that when I show you the spells, but microcoder searches you any Signet spell trap when it's used for the link material of a Code Talker monster. Then we have our starters and extenders. This deck plays a lot of 1-ofs because pretty much everything is searchable. But for your big 3-of cards, you're playing 3 copies of Lady Debug, which, like I said, gets you to microcoder, which gets you to the bread and butter of the deck. And you're playing 3 copies of the Nightmare Corruptor Ibli. The reason why you're playing 3 copies of Ibli is because this is how you don't lose to Nibiru. If you open the Ibli and you still have combo, you can give them an Ibli early on so they can't Nibiru you. And the main aim of your deck's combo is to give your opponent the Ibli, and then you link them so that they can't special summon anything because they don't have a zone in order to summon a link monster. Then after that, we're playing a bunch of 1-ofs that are all searchable. So like I said, you're playing 2 copies of Parallel Exceed. This is a win that's searchable off the Signet Codec. I'll explain that later. You're playing 1 copy of Gachiri Ad Ignister, and like I said, this is all a bunch of extenders. You're playing 1 Backup Secretary. This should be Cyberse Converter, but I didn't have one. Cyberse Converter essentially has the same effect as Backup Secretary, but it's level 2 instead of 3, and that actually comes up for something in the extra deck that I'll show you guys later. You're playing 1 copy of the Cyberse Gadget, 1 copy of the Dotscaper, and you're also playing a bunch of other 1-ofs. You're playing 1 copy of Format Skipper, 1 copy of Link Infraflyer, and 1 copy of Sea Archiver. These are all the monsters that you're playing in your deck. And the reason why all these are 1-ofs is because literally all of this is searchable. You go through pretty much all these cards every single time you do the combo. And the reason for that is because of the broken spell that is Signet Codec. This is the bread and butter of the deck. This is the card you're going to be searching with your microcoder. This is the card that allows you to go off and combo really hard. So what Signet Codec does is that anytime you special summon a Code Talker from your extra deck, you can add a Cyberse monster from your deck to your hand with the same attribute as that Code Talker monster that you summoned. This effect is not once per turn, but it can't add the same attribute twice. So realistically, when doing your combo, you can add 1 light, 1 wind, 1 water, 1 earth, and so on during your entire combo. So you do end up adding like 4 to 6 cards with this card, and it's really the main reason why you are able to do your combos. And then for your other Signet spells and traps that your microcoder can search, you're playing 3 copies of Signet Mining. You're playing 1 copy of Signet Optimization, which is a pseudo extender. It gives you an additional normal summon for a Cyberse monster and makes your Code Talkers are mateys, which actually came up quite a bit for me in the tournament. And you're playing 1 copy of Signet Conflict, which is a counter trap that negates anything if you control a Code Talker monster. So if you already open the Signet Codec, these are the things that you're going to be searching off of your microcoder. You're getting 1 of these cards. Then you're playing 1 copy of 1-for-1, which is essentially like a 4th copy of Signet Mining because microcoder is level 1. And if you did open the level, the microcoder, 1-for-1 can still summon you something like Format Skipper or Dotscaper. So it's genuinely a really good card to have. You're playing 1 copy of Salamangreat Sanctuary. There's a reason for this. It's not for the first effect of Sanctuary, but for the second effect. So Sanctuary has this effect where you can, in the damage step, if one of your link monsters battles, you can pay 1,000 life, reduce your monster's attack to 0, and then gain life equal to its original attack. And the reason why that's relevant is because if you give your opponent an Ibli and you U-lock them, they cannot link summon. So usually the only out that they'll have to the Ibli is to crash the Ibli into one of your link monsters, but Ibli has 0 attack. And if you use the effect of Salamangreat Sanctuary in the damage step to make your monster's attack 0, the Ibli doesn't die because 2 monsters with 0 attack that battle against each other don't die. They both stay on field. So this is the way that you prevent your opponent from just crashing Ibli and then getting to play. So Salamangreat Sanctuary actually has a reason to come up, and Balinx is just very good generic cyber support, so it's a very good card to play anyway, so it's worth to play the 1 Sanctuary for it. You're also playing 1 Call by the Grave because hand traps hit you pretty hard, and you're playing a Monster Reborn, so these are like power 1-ofs, stops hand traps, gets you an extender. Very self-explanatory. Now, these next 7 cards are cards that I decided to play for the tournament. You don't have to play these exact same ones. They're basically 7 flex spots. These can be hand traps, these can be power cards. I opted for the tournament to play 3 copies of Forbidden Droplet, 3 copies of Cosmic Cyclone, and 1 copy of Upstart Goblin. So the reason why I played these is because I didn't feel like hand traps were absolutely necessary for this tournament. And to be honest, I went 5-0 and then only lost the last round, and this actually worked quite well. So I wanted some form of back row removal because this deck loses pretty hard to There Can Be Only One and to Mystic Mine and things like that. So I wanted a main deck out to those cards. And Forbidden Droplet is always really nice if you're going second against something like Dragon Link or any of those decks that put up multiple negates. Forbidden Droplet's pretty good. And Upstart, 39 card deck, very, very self-explanatory. So that's it for the main deck. I'm going to be going off to the extra deck here. So for your Link 1s, you're playing 1 copy of Talkback Lancer. So what Talkback Lancer does is that it contributes a Cyber monster you control to reborn a Code Talker to the zone that it points to. Talkback Lancer facilitates your U-Link very, very much, and this is the reason why I said I would play Cyber's Converter over the Backup Secretary, because Talkback Lancer needs a level 2 or lower Cybers to be summoned, and Backup Secretary is unfortunately level 3, but Cyber's Converter is a level 2, so that's why Cyber's Converter is better just to make Talkback Lancer. It's literally the only reason why. I'm playing 2 copies of Salamangreat Balinx. Honestly, you can play 1. I like playing 2 because I like having the protection for the field spell in case they draw some sort of back row removal to get rid of the field spell to then be able to crash Ibli. But it's also pretty useful because sometimes your hand needs that you make a Link 1 early on in your combo in order to be able to have combo, but Balinx also has to be on your end board so that you can complete your U-Link. So having 2 is just very, very good utility. Like I said, you can play 1, but I feel like the utility of 2 comes up quite a lot. I'm also playing 1 Lingaribo. You can oftentimes end on your U-Lock plus a Lingaribo. So if you're playing against like a back row heavy deck, because a U-Link with an Ibli doesn't really do a whole lot against set 4 pass. Lingaribo just ends up being like that extra protection for against trap decks. So Lingaribo's pretty good. And then we're going to go into the Link 2s. So you're playing 1 copy of Code Talker and 1 copy of Code Talker Extended. Code Talker doesn't really like do a whole lot. The only reason you're playing it is because it's the earliest Link 2 that you can easily make. You don't want to make the inverted early. So this is how you trigger your microcoder in order to get your Sonic Codec and things like that. Code Talker Inverted you make later in the combo. Oftentimes you can do Chainlink 1 Code Talker Inverted, Chainlink 2 Sonic Codec, add a light, and then immediately summon it with Inverted. You can only do that if you have a Cybers already in hand, but it is a pretty cool utility play that you can do. The other Link 2s you're playing are Splash Mage. This is just any Link 2 ends up being a Link 3 in this deck with Splash Mage. And you're playing 1 Update Jammer because you do like to make an Access Code Talker that's able to attack twice for game. Very, very good card. Off to the Link 3s, you're playing 2 copies of Transcode Talker. You only use 1 in the original combo, but Transcode Talker is such a powerful Link 3 that you do want to play 2, because if your first gets disrupted, oftentimes you might have enough juice to make a second and go for full combo, and this is usually where people tend to disrupt. You're also playing 1 copy of Xcode Talker and 1 copy of Shooting Code Talker. These are more for their attributes than anything else. Their effects do come up. Xcode Talker's protection against card destruction, and Shooting Code Talker allows you to attack multiple times in the battle phase and draw some cards in the, while doing so. But more often than not, you're really only using these cards for their attributes, so you have different things that you can search with Sonic Codec. And then, last but not least, the Link 4s. You're playing 3 of them. you're playing 1 copy of the Access Code Talker. Now, I know that this card is expensive. It's pretty much the only expensive card in the deck if you don't opt to play things like Droplet. It's the only really expensive card, but unfortunately, there is no not playing Access Code Talker. You're literally playing Code Talkers. In other decks, this is just a power card that you can just play something else of. In this deck, this is an engine card. You need Access Code Talker. This gets you a Search Off Sign at Codec. This card is more than just a power card in this deck. So if you cannot afford an Access Code Talker, unfortunately, you will not be able to play this deck properly because you need this card. Like, saying you want to play Code Talkers without Access Code is the same thing as saying you want to play Salamangreat without Sunlight Wolf. You know, it's essentially the same thing. So you are playing the 1 copy of Access Code, which is mandatory. You're playing 1 copy of Mech Knight Crusadia Avermax. Avermax is really cool because you can make it in your U-Link and you can make it so that it can't be destroyed by card effects. So your opponent literally cannot attack over anything over your board and cannot out this card. So it's a really, really cool addition to the U-Link. I think Avermax has a lot of really cool utilities. And last but not least, the boy's back, Return of the King, Firewall Dragon in all of his Ghost Rare glory. Firewall Dragon is back and he's insane in this deck. So Firewall Dragon with the new errata is a once per turn summon from hand. It can only summon a Cyberse, but that's all you're playing is all Cyberse monsters. And it also has a bounce. So you never use this on your turn. It's just an additional disruption on your opponent's turn. So you can make your U-Link, make your Firewall point, like co-link to 2 monsters, so you can bounce 2. If they normal summon anything that would cause any issues because they can't special summon because of Ibli, you just bounce it and bounce back an extender from grave so you can go off next turn. So Firewall Dragon with the errata is insanely good in this deck. I'm very, very happy this card is back. It's really, really cool. And last but not least, I'm going to go off to the side deck. This is always like completely like up to you guys, what you guys want to play in your side deck. You don't have to play it 1 for 1 exactly like I did. But I'm going to show it to you anyway, just so you can see a bit what I played for this tournament. So I played 3 copies of Droll and Lockbird and 3 copies of Nibiru. These are the only hand traps that I opted to play. These were in the main before I decided to cut them for Droplet and Cosmic. Like I said, those slots in the main deck are just like toolbox. You can play whatever you want in them. Same thing for the side deck. So I played 3 Droll, 3 Nib. Pretty good cards. And I was scared for combo matchups. I played 3 copies of Dark Ruler No More. And I also had 3 copies of Lightning Storm for the back row matchups. Like I said, bunch of power cards. It literally is like all my side deck is just a ton of power cards. And the last 3 cards, 1 Regeki, 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, and 1 Red Reboot, which you don't want to lose to back row. And a lot of times people don't play around Regeki. They put their monsters in defense expecting a Lightning Storm, and then get blown out by Regeki. So it's pretty good. I didn't resolve it, but I feel like it wasn't a bad card to put in my side deck. So there you have it, guys. That is my Code Talker deck profile. I hope you guys like the profile. I hope you guys enjoy the deck if ever you decide to play it. Don't forget, if we reach 1,000 likes on this video, I will do a combo tutorial. I will show you guys how to U-Link. I will show you guys how to play through bad hands. I will show you guys how to play going second into disruption and things like that. So thank you so much, guys. I hope you guys enjoy the deck. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace!